Okay, so I did my project on depression, which is a mood disorder that can cause nonstop persistent feelings of sadness and loss of interest, and it affects how we feel or think or behave, and it could also lead to physical and emotional problems. And it's not something someone can just snap out of or stop whenever they want to, because it can require long-term treatment or medication because of the chemical imbalance in a depressed person's brain. And some symptoms include angry outbursts, lack of energy, changes in appetite, and loss of interest in any daily activities. Um, so depression has a lot to do with our brain and the function of our brain, and our brain's the command center of our bodies. It controls all of our basic functions of our bodies, such as our movements and our thoughts and emotions. And people researching depression, they often focus on aspects of our brain function and the structures of our brain, and the big part of the structure is the limbic system and functions of neurotransmitters and neurons. And the limbic system is the area of the brain that regulates activities such as emotions, physical and sexual drives, and responses to stress. And one key structure of the limbic system within it is the hypothalamus, that it also regulates basic function, but it controls the function of the pituitary gland, which it regulates key hormones that can play a role in depression. And other structures within the limbic system that are associated with our emotional reactions are the amygdala and hippocampus, and any disturbances of these structures within the limbic system, including neurotransmitter function, they can affect our mood and behavior. Neurotransmitters are special chemicals within our brain that they carry out our important functions, and they transfer messages throughout nerve cells of the brain called neurons, which are organized to control special activities. And when we react or we feel emotions or think, our neurons transmit messages in the form of electrical impulses from one cell to another, which regulates how we feel. And they work by traveling, the neurotransmitters travel from neuron to neuron in an orderly fashion, and they're specifically shaped so that they can pass from a neuron into the synapse, which is like an opening or a gap, and then they're received on a certain site, which is called a receptor. And when landing on the receptor site of a neuron, a message, a chemical message of the neurotransmitter can be exchanged into an electrical impulse, and it could either continue on its way to the next neuron, or it could stop where it is, and then the neurotransmitter releases the receptor site and floats back into the synapse, and then it's removed from the synapse. And the neurotransmitter could either be broken down by a chemical, or it can be taken back by the neuron that originally released it, which is called reuptake. And there's associations between clinical depression and the function of the three primary neurotransmitters in our brains, which are serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. These three primary neurotransmitters, they're key, and they function within structures of the brain that regulate emotions, reactions to stress, and the physical drives of sleep, appetite, and sexuality. And antidepressants play a big role in depression because they're believed to be effective because of the fact that they regulate amount of specific neurotransmitters within the brain. And it's been shown that people who are depressed have low levels of the neurotransmitter norepinephrine, and the use of these antidepressants can increase the level of it in the brain and subsequently relieve depressive symptoms. And the relationship between neurotransmitters and neurons and depression, it's not completely clear. That's why medications don't work for everyone, because it can't just be about one specific thing within the brain or a lack of a certain neurotransmitter or hormone. It's different for everyone. That's why the antidepressants, they don't work the same for everybody.